The training sailing ship Sedov was built in Germany in 1921. The year 2006 is the 85th anniversary of its faithful and trustful service to people. They dream about sailing the Sedov in a splendid weather, being followed by the sun and the light wind only. A magnificent bark under full sails crossing the endless seas. It is a breathtaking scene, even for the experienced sea dogs who used to meet the Sedov in the open sea and salute this incredible sailing ship in accordance with all sea traditions. The beauty of this sailing ship makes people addicted to the sea. Therefore, it has become a tradition to organize the first training of the future seamen over here. And that is the major task of the Sedov and the similar ships. Like all big modern vessels, on the sailing ship you can always listen to the waves splashing nearby. You can feel the sea, and it comes into your heart forever. In a stormy weather, the members of the modern vessel's crew, who are free from keeping watch, shelter inside. The vessel's support system works instead of people. But on the sailing ship, there is only one command in a stormy weather: all hands on deck. Of course, the naval cadets sometimes don't quite understand the idea of training on the Sedov because their future specialization is not connected with sailing ships. But soon they realize the necessity of such training, because the sailing ship is the place where they can face the sea. It is also the place where they can gain their sailing experience as well as their sailor character. Not everyone is able to fix the sails at a height of 60 meters. Later on, the cadets remember these days with great thanks, because these are the best days of their lives, naval lives. The history of the sailing ship Sedov is rather unusual and surprising. It was built in the days when the sailing fleet was already dying, and the bark seemed to have a very short life too. But fortune favored it. Originally, the bark was transporting different freights: grains, cereals, flour, etc. between the seaports of Europe, South America, Australia, Southwest Asia, and Oceania. Starting from 1936, the bark has been also used as a training sailing ship. During World War II, it was flying the German Navy flag in the Baltic Sea. In January 1946, the Soviet Navy flag was raised on the bark. Since then, it has become a training sailing ship only. It was renamed after the Russian polar explorer Георгий Яковлевич Седов.
Мы были первыми, действительно, из военно-морского
We were the very first naval cadets to come to this sailing ship for a summer training. After taking the task, ship ready for sailing, we performed the next task, sailing into the open sea. The route was to Tallinn, our first route. In 1957, the bark participated in the hydrographic research works and assisted in exploring of the Atlantic Ocean. In 1966, the Седо was assigned to the fish industry, but it kept its training functions. SEDOV has become the first sailing school for thousands of teenagers. Shipmasters Lasov, Mitrofanov, Нечаев, Роев, Smelteris, Schneider, Sam, Перевозчиков, Misheniov. Here was their first trawl and deck, first boat and oar, navigational equipment, and hard sailing terminology. According to the English historiographer J. Underhill, the foremast sailing ship Седов is one of the most remarkable and biggest foremast barks of our century. Every summer, the training regattas are organized by the International Association of Training Sailing Ships. They take place in the harbors of the Baltic Sea, the North Sea, and in the Atlantic Ocean. Our bark is a regular participant of all the regattas. In 1992, we sailed on Columbus 500 regatta dedicated to the 500th anniversary of discovering America. An A-class bark, Седов, has always been stable in gaining the regatta's second prizes. In 1991, the sailing ship was handed over to the Maritime Engineering School in Murmansk, now called Murmansk State Technical University. Since that time till nowadays, almost 2,000 cadets of the MSTU Maritime Academy and about 3,500 cadets and students of other maritime and Navy Russian institutes have had their training on the Седов. Future navigators, ship repairing mechanics, electrical technicians, wireless operators. At present, Седов is the biggest training sailing ship in the world, though it isn't the biggest sailing vessel. A bigger sailing vessel has been recently built, but it could be hardly ever called a sailing ship because it is a diesel-driven liner under SAILS. The bark is 117.5 meters length, 14.6 meters width, and 6.3 meters draft. The sailing ship is equipped with 32 sails that are about 4,200 square meters in area. Of course, we rarely need to crown the sails. It depends on the situation. The modern sails that we have been using since 1991 are made of polyester. But not long ago we were sailing under the linen canvas. It is extremely heavy if it gets wet. And we used to remember old days when the sailors had to deal with the linen canvas. The bark's figures 4,132 square meters of sails, almost 30 kilometers of rigging, which is usually called ropes by landsmen. The crew must work on the open deck every day at any weather. And you can only guess about the huge amount of job carried out by 58 people of the regular crew and 164 cadets. In fact, every member of the regular crew is a coach for cadets. Although we are not teachers, we have to explain to them everything so they can get all sailing skills. And it is quite often that cadets are offered the job of the fourth mate's trainee after their sailing training is over. That training gave me the basis. Lots of things are not studied at the institute. I kept watch with the third mate and the senior navigator and learned a lot from them.
Глубленно изучаешь, что они, он мне часть что-то рассказал, третий помощник, старший штурман, с которыми я несу вахты.
It is obvious that being on the sailing ship for the first time, every cadet should overcome some emotional barrier before climbing the mast and working with the sails. It is not for everyone, even when the ship stays still in the harbor. It is a great challenge. Some cadets can cope with it easily, others feel frightened. Nevertheless, only few people can't do this. And as soon as the cadets succeed, they feel proud. From this moment they are keen on doing any work, not only climbing the mast. Because it is not just climbing, but it's a great work in a team. One man can hardly do anything on the ship. He needs a team. That's why there is always a competition between the masts. Which team is the first to hoist and to lower sails? Which team is the best to do this? All sailors have always had such a competition. And this tradition is being kept nowadays too. Climbing the yards is quite dangerous. If you are a careful person, you will be safe. I remember myself climbing through the shrouds for the first time. It was an unbelievable experience. I was trembling and felt nervous. You don't have any safety belts, and you can only trust your own hands, your dexterity and your physical strength. The idea of all-hands job is the hoisting and lowering sails when the ship is turning. When it is necessary to change the course, all-hands job is announced, and the sailing ship turns according to the captain's command. Depending on the wind, the turning may be called either wearing or tacking. Time goes fast during all-hands job. As for me, I like it. I am the most loud-voiced during all-hands job. Everyone understands what should be done, but sometimes they are not acting as one team. However, a number of jobs should be done simultaneously. It's impossible for one person to carry out some of the commands. Pulling the topsail, halyard. The same is on the top of the mast. If someone forgets about something, then the rest of the jobs may be blocked and sail wouldn't lower. So you need to shout at people. But we should be able to give commands because all of us are future captains. During all-hands job, I am responsible for the boom halyard that makes the yards in horizontal plane. Of course, we all pull the topsail halyard to hoist the upper topsail. It is the hardest job because the topsail halyard is the one of the heaviest yards. We also work as one team when we hoist the fore and aft and four-sided sails because it's an extremely difficult job for a small group of people. Climbing the top is very interesting too. At first it isn't easy, but when you start working and fulfilling the commands, you forget about your fear. As for me, I have worked on the very top of the mast. Climbing the mast for the first time could be described in one word: horror. But gradually, it is becoming more and more easier, and soon you get used to the height. Besides, when you are carrying out your job on the top, you should concentrate on the tasks
Отключаешься
alone.
полностью от того, что тебя окружает, и только дело, и еще раз дело.
If we hoist the upper topsail with the whole team, we pull the topsail halyards. It's very difficult. We feel extremely tired, but it's great. Some people often ask us to set all the sails, to man the yards. They like when we arrive to Murmansk in a review way. The whole team was working selflessly. The rival spirit between the masts made the cadets complete in climbing the masts, in taking in and hoisting the sails, crying, "Hurrah!" The first Jubilee trip in 2006 was called Arctic Atlantic Sailing. The trip was dedicated to the 100th anniversary of Russian submarine forces and to the 130th anniversary of Gеоргий Седов. The target of the trip was to follow the route of Георгий Седов's polar expedition carried out by him in 1912-1914 on the two-mast steam vessel St. Marta Foka. Moreover, the sailing ship has visited the Northern Fleet's memory places and laid the wreath at the wreck places of the Komsomolets and the Kursk. In every harbor, either Russian or international, crowds of people come on board to admire the glorious sailing ship registered in the Guinness Book. The desk of this ship hosted many celebrities and royalties. We had a leave warrant in the town, and we enjoyed our staying in St. Petersburg. I've never been to such a beautiful city. In comparison to other cities which I have visited, it's the most beautiful one. I like Germany. I like the cities that we visited. Kiel, Wilhelmshaven. The local people were very friendly, sociable, and enjoyed talking with us. We especially liked the seaport Barentsburg in Spitzbergen. The population of this town is only 400 people, and that's the only two Sedov's crews. There was a very hospitable meeting, and they made a concert for us. We felt that they were really happy and enjoyed themselves. We also enjoyed our visit to Norway. It's a beautiful country. You can admire its charming landscapes from the mast. The Sedov was always met everywhere with a great delight. But the most unforgettable reception we had in a small seaport, Barentsburg, in Spitzbergen. Its people, miners from the former Soviet Union, were meeting us with flares salute and Russian hurrah. They were really warm-hearted. It reminded us about our home, which we hadn't seen for 2 months. The most unforgettable events during these 3 months were our visit to Barentsburg in Spitzbergen and the welcoming meeting given to us in Arkhangelsk. People were open-hearted and met us very generously. The warmth that we felt in Russia couldn't be felt in any other countries abroad.
Такой тепла в душе мы не чувствовали, как в России.
Hosting so many guests, The bark has to amaze people with its cleanness and organization. This requires an everyday work of the whole crew. That's why deck mopping and scrubbing, copper polishing, rust removing and painting are the daily routine of the crew. This job is rather dull, and the cadets don't like it. But later on, when they become captains, they understand that this unqualified job has worked out a great skill, ability to work hard. The ship is not only sails and yards, but it is also an everyday titanic work. However, when you see people admiring this beautiful ship, then you understand that you have already done something serious in your life. While cleaning, it's important to mop the deck, because when you come on board of the sailing ship, the first thing that catches your eyes is the deck. We work every day. We clean the deck, we keep watch, we are at the wheel, we work in the canteen, in the galley, and in the engine room.
В курсантской столовой несем вахты, на камбузе несем вахты, еще в машинном отделении вахты несем.
Cooking for 200 people is one of the most difficult tasks in the open sea. The cooks perform this brilliantly. What is more, the captain and the cadets have the same food: roasted beef, fish, etc. Meals on the bark are more delicious than in top-class restaurants. And the rare housewife can cook as well as the Sedov's cooks. After visiting Germany, Iceland and Norway, the Седов moved forward in the northern direction to the southern coast of Franz Joseph Land. Sailing in northern latitudes has helped the cadets to acquire toughness and bravery, reinforced their Navy character. It has also shown that they are going to be good specialists of the Russian Navy and future patriots. Of course, I remember the bark. Everyone will. Although they say now that they don't want to remember about it, they will never forget about it. It is a large sailing ship, the biggest bark in the world, and you can be proud of this at least. During the sailing parade in Kiel, we shouted green hands to the small sail vessels because we were on the biggest sailing ship in the world. During 3 months of sailing, we rubbed into heavy weather only once, in the White Sea. Neither in the Atlantic nor in the Northern Sea we got into such one. We shall always remember our crew, boatswains, commanding officers. All of them are nice people. It was interesting to work with them, and they taught us many things. The major goal of this training was to make from mommies, daddies, and grannies' kids real men and sailors. And the sailing ship is the best place for this. Nowhere on diesel vessels you can feel this responsibility of one person towards the whole team. Only here the cadets can understand that the results of the teamwork are determined by the results of one person's work. We have successfully fulfilled the main purpose of the training cruise, to make a good team of sailors and to show the cadets what the sailors' friendship is. They have received certificates of the second-class sailor, the second-class mechanic, and the ship's electrician. However, our main task was to make these landsmen feel the taste of the sea. The cadets had to decide whether the sea would come the place of their future service. On the bark Седов, I have received the certificate of the second-class sailor. But I am not going to stop on this. I think I'll make my dream come true, and I will become a captain. During these 3 months, we have become very friendly, just like brothers. As for me, I've become more independent. I don't regret that I was on this ship, because I have met lots of new friends and got acquainted with many amazing people. Moreover, I have experienced a lot of unusual situations and got a good dose of adrenaline. These teenagers have become real friends, and they are a great team thanks to the Седов. The sea should be loved. Only the man who loves the sea can become a true sailor. This reminds the slogan of Admiral Makarov, "In the sea like at home." This principle is still working for the new generation of sailors. Modern fleet is nuclear, and you can't feel the sea there. You can't feel yourself at home, but sailing ship gives us such an opportunity.
Но вот пока я хочу связать жизнь с морем, потому
I
что
think my future is
у меня
connected
нет
with the
проблем
sea
ни с морем, ни с чем.
because I
Здесь я
don't have any problems with
ни
it.
грамма не чувствую себя
I feel comfortable here, and I like the
И вот
sea.
мне даже приятно.
It's quite boring in the
Иногда
harbor
в
for
порту
me.
даже скучнее, чем в море здесь. Идешь и домой.
The Седов is a big step in my life because it is the first ship in my future work that requires all the energy, emotions, and constant efforts. For me, the sea is like a living creature. If I didn't love the sea, I wouldn't feel so much devoted to it, and I wouldn't choose this job. The Седов is the greatest sailing ship in the world. During these 3 months, I've become keen on it and fallen in love with it. I've been for 32 years in Седов. The major part of my life is closely connected with this ship. My first house, my first wife. Despite of its mature age, the Седов remains at its post. It has got a lucky fortune based on the wide world's love and fame. Love gives energy and youth. That's why the ship, in its 85th jubilee, goes on sailing the seas and oceans, bringing pleasure and happiness to people.